Picture the scenario. It's 9 o'clock in the evening. You just finally got the kids down to bed. Dishes are finally done. And you're sitting there staring into the fridge, wondering if it would ruin your six-pack abs if you had that tablespoon of peanut butter. That was me last night. There's an age-old debate on whether low carb, low calorie, or intermittent fasting is the best way in order to approach a diet. And what we're going to find out today might surprise you. I'm Dr. Will. I'm a family wellness chiropractor. I've been doing this for over a decade now, and I've gone through my own weight loss journey as well. Back when I was in college, I was 50 or 60 pounds overweight. And when I got out, I went on this journey of figuring out, basically getting healthy again as I was going into chiropractic school. And yes, I needed to count calories. Yes, I needed to eat, work out more. But one of the things that totally transformed that journey for me was intermittent fasting. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive today on the science behind all of these, why some work, why some don't, and what you should do and consider for yourself. One of the biggest takeaways for me is that 80 to 90% of all calorie restricting diets fail long term. That should be reason enough for us to not try to live that way. There are also several studies that show that as we go into that calorie restricted phase, the body actually creates mechanisms and starts to fight against that weight loss. It's called that weight set point that everyone's kind of heard about. When we do calorie deficit for too long and sometimes in the wrong way, the body just stops. It goes into survival mode, starvation mode, even though we're eating, and it just refuses to drop any more pounds because it thinks it's giving up its last little bit. There's a better way. It turns out that when you eat, sometimes is more important than what you eat. Now, we absolutely have to have a healthy diet. I'm a fan of a paleo diet. Look over maybe, I don't know, there's a link somewhere in here. I did a video on this recently. You can watch that. But when you eat is almost as important as what you eat. Think about it like this. If your stomach was a dishwasher, would you constantly open up the dishwasher every 20, 30, 40 minutes, every hour to add in more dirty dishes? Or would you let it run modern dishwashers, would you let it run the 2.5 hour cycle to actually finish cleaning everything out? Our body is not too dissimilar from that. Our stomach takes a certain amount of time to process down food before it shoots it down into the intestines. And then the intestines take a certain amount of time for it to fully absorb the nutrients before they get all the way around to our colon. And then you know what happens next. So what happens if we continually pack on more and more and more as that system is still running? Well, we might not get the most out of it. Now, there is some evidence that we need, that our body can only process so much nutrients at once, but not to the point that we need to be feeding it every 20 or 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Everyone gets caught up in the intricacies of what a fasting window really looks like. And if you're going to do like one meal a day or 18-6 schedule, sure. That does require a little bit of planning and forethought, and that might work really well for you. However, just creating a simple 12-12 intermittent fast is a great first step for most families, and this is what we can do for the entire family, kids included. We should be digesting our food about 12 hours out of the day. That looks like, instead of having 4, 5, or 6 meals, and I'm counting snacks as a meal here. If we're having 4, 5, or 6 meals and snacks throughout the day, that means cutting it down to 2, 3, or 4 into that 12-hour window. So actually allowing our body, 3 hours to process what we just last put into it. And if you do this for long enough, you start to pay attention. It's only about that amount of time that your body actually starts to get hungry again. I ate this morning at 8 o'clock and it's 10:40. I'm not quite hungry yet. I can tell I'm going to be here really soon, but I'm not quite hungry yet. It's somewhere around that 3-hour mark that the body's processing through and is ready for more input. So eating every 3 to 4 hours is a good start for your schedule as an adult. Kids, we might want to throw a couple of healthy snacks in the middle there. Fresh fruits are a great way. Fresh fruits with some, like some peanut butter or some almond butter are a great way to tide them over, and rather than giving them, junk grain and sugar snacks. But having that 3 to 4 hour window between your meals is a great place to start, and making sure that we've got a full 12-hour fast somewhere in our day. Usually that's dinner to breakfast. So that means for most people, we need to stop eating a little bit earlier in the evening. And most of us need to go to bed earlier anyway, but we need to stop eating a little bit earlier in the meeting, 2 hours or so before you go to bed. So that means if I have a 9 o'clock bedtime, I'm done eating my dinner by 7 o'clock. I don't have anything else. Now I go all the way around to the morning, and it's somewhere around 6 or 7 the next day that I can introduce my breakfast again. Maybe even delay it a little bit, but try to get 12 hours between dinner and breakfast, and that's going to create a great start for an intermittent fast for you. You can expand on that if you want to. You can skip breakfast, you can skip dinner. We can narrow all those down a little bit. We can have a late breakfast and an early dinner, but having at least that 12-hour window and then roughly 3 hours between your meals is a great start for food timing. So not only does this obviously help with weight loss, it also simplifies your schedule. You have to eat less and less food prep, but it has measurable health benefits. There's some cool studies that show that even a 10 to 12 hour intermittent fasting window improves metabolic markers and insulin sensitivity. So it's definitely worth your time. And again, it simplifies food prep and meals for you and the family. So what's your takeaway? This is a really simple topic, but it's surprisingly difficult for a lot of people to wrap their heads around. Just try it. 12 hours. Dinner to breakfast, 12 hours, dinner to breakfast. Try it out. See how you do. Make sure that you're putting about 3 hours between your meals and your snacks in the middle of the day. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you're going to try this week.